Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing visa advice on YouTube. And I'm sure the title of this video probably seems strange, as this is coming from someone who talks a lot, in some cases I'm sure some of you think ad nauseum, about immigration and visa matters here in Thailand. But I'm talking about this in a specific way. First of all, I want to say, I hope that people take these videos for what they are, which is just general information. I'm not making these videos to provide case-specific advice. And that is what advice is. It's case-specific. I provide these videos, I try to make these videos for an informational purpose, not to be used by somebody in their specific case. If it provides you some insight or some nuance, or it gives you a better understanding of how the overall system works, that's great. But if you're trying to use these videos to somehow specifically deal with some really difficult or nettlesome issue in your situation, that's not really their use. That's not what they're meant for. So the other thing to understand is I'm also making this because I see a lot of YouTubers out there. I'm not pointing at anyone specifically. I just see it sort of a lot, and this kind of culminated, I've seen it the last few months, about the last 90 days, when I have seen YouTubers sort of talking about Thai visa stuff, and they will either conflate the very specific for general informational purposes, or they'll just disseminate information that's just patently not correct. So when I'm in the former case, what I'm talking about is I'll often see folks, and this is oftentimes sort of in a discussion context where people will say, well, this is what happened in my case, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'll hear some specific point that occurred, and that will not be parsed out for the specificity that is required. And what I mean is, someone may view that video, and I've had people contact me, they may view or hear that information and think, oh, that applied there, that applies to me. That may not be the case. As I've noted in a number of my videos, different provincial immigration offices do things differently. Different embassies and consulates do things differently. So what may have worked in one case-specific incident may not work just as a general matter when processing immigration cases across the board. So that's the first thing to understand about being cautious. Let me be also clear. I'm not saying don't listen and get insight from across the internet, but take things for what they are and sort of bring them into your own situation as best you can, and try as best you can to understand that one person's situation is not necessarily applicable to your situation. That is even the same in similar visa categories. Marriage visa information for one person may not apply to another person, depending again on circumstances. The other thing that I unfortunately see is there's just a lot of disseminated information that's just a lot of hokum. It's just there's not anything to it. And they basically will say things that are kind of, it's almost like old wives' tales. They'll say, well, if you go down to this office and, you're nice to this person, this guy will hook you up with a visa or something. I don't see that as often as I once did. That was also more of a thing that you used to kind of see on forums and things. And that's kind of fallen by the wayside, but I still do see it occasionally. And long story short, usually it's pretty easy to tell when something sounds too good to be true. It probably is. But long story short, when you're viewing any video, including mine, and again, I want to restate, I'm not the dispositive end-all be-all of immigration information. I'm not trying to be, and I hope I don't come off as trying to be such. I'm simply trying to provide as much pertinent information as I can in as quick a context and as concise a context as I can to provide insight to people in a general way. But the thing not to read from anything on YouTube is how one thing that may not apply to you could apply to you. Don't conflate someone else's circumstances with your own. And the other thing to understand is there is stuff out there that's just wholly nonsensical that I've never seen work and I've seen people talk about that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Again, not so much here recently, but in the past that was much more frequent. And so those out there who are watching these videos across YouTube, across the internet, looking at information on the internet, just understand you need to be cautious. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you see. Like the lyrics from that song, I heard it through the grapevine. Believe, half of what you see and none of what you hear. it's a good idea to be cautious with the information you find not only on the internet, but on YouTube specifically.